Welcome back to another episode of Psychonaut Sessions, ladies and gentlemen. Your home for all things psycho. Today we're definitely covering something psycho, something very close and near and dear to my heart and to my childhood, Garbage Pail Kids, and specifically Tops's Garbage Pail Kids art book. What you're seeing here actually is a display of a package that my children and my wife provided for me for Christmas as a gift. They got me the Garbage Pail Kids art book. They got me a Garbage Pail Kids Funko Pop, as well as an original set of Garbage Pail Kids Series 5 cards. It was wrapped. It was unsealed, but I had to break it open because I had to try out the gum, much to my wife's dismay. Report, it just crumbled into dust in my mouth. It was pretty disgusting. I had to spit it out. I couldn't do it. I'm probably permanently poisoned now. I think I have fins or gills growing somewhere on my body, but hey, that's okay. So I did get some of these original Series 5 pieces. We've got Terry Cloth, Gene Machine, it's a pretty good one, Upside Down Donald, got some cool Underground Comics references there, Juicy Lucy, oh, that's just beautiful. Love it. An Edible Ernie. Another great one. Poor Edible Ernie. You have to feel sorry for some of these original Garbage Pail Kids. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look more closely at the book. I'm going to set some of these things aside. The book did come with a pack of cards that were from the later series, the all-new Garbage Pail Kids series. Ticked Off Tucker, kind of fun. Busy Bee, that's pretty wretched. Trim Jim, love it. And Hole and Juan, Lord Heavenly Jesus. So yeah, let's talk a little bit first about the history. Garbage Pail Kids was established in 1984 by Topps Trading Card Company. This was back in the day when bubblegum trading cards, and my kids are still astounded that these cards came with gum. I almost even forgot they were stickers until I got this pack, and I do remember I wasted some on a Trapper Keeper when I was little. But originally established, the original artists were Mark Newgarden, Art Spiegelman, which I did not even realize until I read this book. John Pound is one of the main primary artists for the card fronts, and Tom Bunk did a lot of the art and stuff for the back of the cards. And on the back of the cards, a lot of times it was pretty random. You either got a piece of a puzzle for a larger, bigger piece that you could turn into a poster, and I think I was able to do that a couple times. Or you would get these like stat cards of the characters and find out a little bit more. And I apologize, my camera's getting wonky and weird again, this blue collar operation. But anyway, so I think some people may or may not know about the Garbage Pail Kids craze. It was huge. It was obviously a riff on Cabbage Patch Kids. And it was kind of, it wasn't newly original, as we'll see in some of the introduction material. It was kind of a line of parody cards and satire cards that had been coming out and were popular for a while as part of this sort of child subculture. But of course, in the 80s, Cabbage Patch Kids, the company that owned them, were not going to have it. They did sue, and it caused a rebranding. The rebranding did not really survive at that time, but of course there has actually been a resurgence in the 2000s based upon 80s nostalgia, so on and so forth. And we have a new series out, and of course they don't look exactly like Cabbage Patch Kids anymore. They do have their own look and feel. John Pound did do a style sheet for artists for the future of the new Garbage Pail Kids, but they're still awesome, as you can clearly see. They're still amazing. I absolutely love Garbage Pails Kids cards. I wouldn't mind trying to get more in the future. This is definitely uh, the biggest treat ever. So anyway, let's just take a look at the production value of this book first of all. You can see it's not huge. A lot of people thought it was going to be bigger, so it's not very big. Here's the size of my hand. But what's notable at first is the dust cover is the same style of paper as the original packaging, which is really fun. So it's like you're getting a Garbage Pail Kids package, and of course, if you take off the dust cover, you get your gum. So, or you get your broken up gum, which is like insanely clever because sometimes you would get a pack and the gum would be all broken up into those pieces. Um, I will say that the gum that I got in my package that my wife and kids got me, it wasn't broken up until it hit my mouth and turned to dust. So wonderful display here. We get some of the backs of some of the original cards. We had I remember these. You would get these like little certificates, such as a permit to use the phone, permit to not do homework, cheater's license. I mean, this really appealed to the subculture of children that did not that wanted to be little rebels. So squealer's license, just wonderful things. Love this. Get your empty sticker. I had a few of those, I have to admit. That's really stupid of me. So yeah, as I got into this, I was blown away. I didn't know a lot of the history, and I did not know that Art Spiegelman. And if you don't know who Art Spiegelman is, man, you need to get out there. Art Spiegelman is the Pulitzer Prize winning comic artist of Mouse, which is one of the top comics of all time, really. I mean, if you look at even the Times top 100 books of all time, I think it's even included. It's about the Holocaust and the misfortunes of his father's experience being in a concentration camp. And what's interesting about the book is that the Jews are represented as mice, which is why it's called Mouse, and the Nazis, of course, as cats. And it's a heart-wrenching story, but it is very telling. I have a niece who actually majored in Holocaust studies in college, and that was a required text. So it's taught in schools, it's taught in higher education. It's a wonderful book. Art Spiegelman also has been very involved in the underground comics community, independent comics community. He's an incredible artist, an incredible advocate of creators' rights. But so yeah, anyway, he kind of lays out the framework here of how it got started and sort of talks through how these were a sort of, I don't want to say homage, but it was kind of a carry on of earlier stickers and cards that had come out from even like the 60s that were very popular, that were done by Basil Wolverton, another amazing, really weird artist. These were ugly stickers that were in the 60s, so where you would get just some kind of weird creature that Basil Wolverton would come up with, and they would have a name to it. And how he talked through the interesting aspect of that, it wasn't just a card with a picture. You were getting some kind of story, you were getting some kind of context. The fact that these characters were named, and it really pulled you into thinking that there was this whole world that you were collecting, so you wanted more cards, which was an inspiration for Garbage Pail Kids. More Basil Wolverton artwork here, nutty initials, so you would get these just like letters in the shape of these weird creatures. Just, Basil Wolverton is another comics legend for sure. And then, of course, another homage were slob stickers. So these, I believe this was Jack Davis, right? I believe that this was Jack Davis from Mad Magazine. And, another kind of inspiration, as you can see, just weird, grotesque figures and characters that will make your mother and little sister cringe. So here we go. And so really, there's not much to this book. We've got a forward, we've got an afterword, and then they don't do a whole lot of explaining. You're just getting straight into the series. Now, the production quality of these images, first of all, is 100%. What's really awesome and great about this, if you remember, is that each card actually had was designated by an A version and a B version. So it would be the same image, but they had different names. And so I remember getting a card twice, but then it having a different name. It was interesting that these two are the first ones in the series, which I did not realize because I used to have a cup from my childhood, and I no longer have it, but it was just like a coffee mug, coffee cup kind of thing, and it had both of these, one on each side. So these two were very near and dear to my heart, Nasty Nick and Junk Food John. Although I think on the cup it was Nasty Nick and Ray Decay. So it was 1A and 2B. But these two are two of my favorites. I love them. I must have redrawn these images a billion times. These were a huge artistic influence. Yeah, 100%. These are two that I don't think I ever got up Chuck and Frying Brian. Dead Ted I'd had, most definitely. What I love too about these original cards, and I'm just partial to this, is this kind of monochromatic airbrushed background. There's something about that just really hits home to me. And of course we get the preeminent atom bomb, which is the token image of Garbage Pail Kids, which I thought would have been the first one in the series, but it turns out it's not. This image, Art Spiegelman claims, is pretty much almost completely 100% his. And the rest of these, I think, were more of a collaborative effort by all of them, but the finished art on the fronts was John Pound. But Art Spiegelman claims that this one was pretty much overall his. And it was one of the main images they used to pitch this to Topps. Got Booze and Bruce. I mean, you can imagine, mothers seeing this, and Garbage Pail Kids were the kind of things you had to hide from your parents. You did not want to get these taken away. I remember them getting taken away from school. I remember it being a problem at school, and they were banned. We were no longer allowed to bring them, so it was almost like sneaking in drugs to school at a certain point. We would all be trading them on the playground. Ugh, the Garbage Pail Kids trade. It was even more nasty than the baseball card trade. It was a cutthroat situation, man. It was war. Weird Wendy, Aylin Owl. Again, that background. Why? Why does that appeal to me so much? Somebody help me out. I remember this one. Yep, although I think it was Bad Brad, the one that I had. Swell Mill, Corroded Carl. Take a look at this. This is nasty. I remember we would take these and stick them into the girls' faces and ew. And they were downright offended. It was another war. It wasn't just a war to trade Garbage Pail Kids, but against the boys and the girls, to have their revered Cabbage Patch Kids. And you need to go watch what is it, 8-Bit Christmas on HBO on HBO Max, and you'll get a sense of the insanity surrounding Cabbage Patch Kids. Cabbage Patch Kids people were obsessed over them. That's badass. So, people did not take lightly to this. I had these two. I remember that. Boney Joni and New Wave Dave. I liked the more horror centric ones. I was into horror as a young child. That's pretty great. I remember redrawing that one too. Kim Kong. Jesus. But yeah, I mean, this is it. This is the. I mean, what more do you want, right? I actually appreciate this more than having a stack of cards, really, that I have to put in some book. They're larger than the card. I can enjoy them. The only thing is that you can't enjoy the backs, and there's nothing here that really. That is the one hang up. So, all the chapter breaks into the series are basically the packaging. So, and what I love is that it's a photograph of the package as well. That's so great. Now I remember having way more of these. I remember having a ton of season 2 because this is when it was really becoming popular, and there was like one place in the town I grew up in. It was the Casey's. Rap and Ron. I remember Rap and Ron. The one gas station, Casey's gas station, that you would go and buy them. And I remember especially Series 2, man, earning as much money as you could, mowing as many lawns as you could, and sneaking over to Casey's after school or even before school and buying them up. And that was the only place in my old small town you could get them, from what I remember. Maybe you could at the local grocery store too. I remember these two guys very clearly. What's great about this is, I mean, I can stare at these all day long. this is the best stuff ever. And it's really gotten me excited. There was a Garbage Pail Kids movie, which was horrendous. But of course, as a kid, I was just like, yes. But it's bad. There's been a Garbage Pail Kids cartoon, which was not great as well. I know that there was a recently, with the resurgence of Garbage Pail Kids in the 2000s. I believe there's been a comic. There's been all kinds of stuff out. I haven't really kept up, unfortunately. It's just, when you're a parent, you can only keep up with so many things. But I'm definitely going to revisit. I remember being really embarrassed by this. Like, this is one you really have to hide from mom and dad. Oh, Lord. I think I almost had almost all of Series 2. So there's Split Kit. There's my Papo. Or Mixed Up Mitch. Whatever you want to do. Too bad he doesn't have the gun. I mean, he does have the devil horns there, but give Split Kit a gun. Don't be afraid of that. I know it's the 21st century and we're more sensitive to things like that, but this is where you can like stretch your limits, man. Is Garbage Pail Kids is supposed to push things to beyond the limits. Joe Blow, remember that. So we got season 3 here. I'm going to move through a little faster. Or I'm going to try. It's really hard to. But I'm actually on Facebook. I'm friends and follow a lot of some of the current Garbage Pail Kids artists. So I've been watching, and they're creating amazing work. I need to get more plugged in. And this has kind of inspired me too. I love the whole bubblegum card, trading card sort of genre. And maybe I'll make a set of Psychonaut cards someday. I think that would definitely have to be a Kickstarter. My comics, I'm just, normally I remember him. My comics are, easier to just kind of put out without a Kickstarter, for me personally anyway, but I think this would definitely need a Kickstarter format. So yeah, this is all done by hand. The all this artwork, and it still is. From what I've seen, the artists that I follow, they still do all of the artwork by hand, and thank God, thank you for that. Series 4, and this book goes all the way up to series. That's beautiful. This book goes all the way up to series 5. So I even have some of the cards that are in this book at this point. I remember these two had those. Remember that I had no context for understanding this as a kid. It was like, what? Rocky Horror? What? Okay, what? Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror Picture Show. I remember having a lot of this series too. Homage to Mars Attacks, which is, one of those big, huge, and Mars Attacks, most people in pop culture think of the Tim Burton movie, but it really came from a trading card series from Topps that was hugely popular and was one of the first trading card sets that had that sort of story to it that you could follow or just get, glimpses of. Huge influence in the trading card community. And of course, you got to have some sports ones. Jesus Christ. This is crazy. Yeah. It was a rough holiday season for me, but I don't know about you all, but anytime I pick this up, I immediately start getting happier. Reese Pieces. Yeah. This is what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. This is top of the line art, concepts. Art Spiegelman in the afterword by John Pound, they talk about just the times of just sitting and just creating, and they were worried they weren't going to be able to have enough concepts, but they just they started with the first one with Atom Bomb, and then it just rolled. They just it they don't have enough paper or time or resources to finish off the number of concepts they came up with. You can just keep going and go, this, I remember getting this and that. This is a hard one to look at. Ugh, that's just, and blood too. I mean, it was so risque. I was like, oh my God. This pushed all the boundaries for me. This was like, this was a combination of being able to watch as a kid in the 80s to watch late night Cinemax, sneaking into Spencer gifts, all rolled into one. And then Series 5, as we've seen. That's amazing. And I got Defaced. Gee, Wretch. I think that kid was in the movie, if I remember. Yeah, the characters that were in the movies were there were more of the basic ones, like Wendy Winston. He was just a normal looking dude who just farted. So it wasn't anything extreme like this. That Gator kid, there was the one that looked like an alligator earlier. I remember he was in it. The Snot Girl, she was in the movie. Got that card. Got this card. That's just... I mean, this is torturous, but so fun. Anyway, we're nearing the end here. Shattered Shelby. I mean, it's not like wretched, but it's just kind of interesting. It's kind of cool, fun. This is tongue coming out of a tongue coming out. I mean, maybe this is like an homage to Alien or something, when Alien came out. Little Salvador Dali here. Dangling Dolly, get it? That's a lot of fun. Imagine how much fun that would have been to make. Doughy Joey. I remember too, me and a couple other kids in elementary school trying to make our own versions. Ooh, I remember drawing that too. They were not as cool as the originals, of course, but tons of fun. This is based upon, oh gosh, what's his name? Popular comic and trading card artist too. Somebody help me out here. And then Afterward by John Pound. Really cool stuff. We get some of the original concept art. And then, of course, an index, everything. And that's about it. I mean, really well put together. Really simple, which is fine. It's what I want. I just wanted, I didn't want a whole lot of gloss and just a lot of extra verbiage. Corroding the whole book and giving all this like extra history stuff that I don't really care too much about. I care about the history, of course, but what I wanted was an art book. Give me the images. The only other thing is it would have been cool to maybe make this twice as big, and then for every image on the back page, you would have the back of the image. That would have been awesome. And then maybe the some pinups of the collected images together, right? But that's the only other route I would have gone, but still, I'm not complaining. This is one of my treasures. I actually have it on a stand in my office. So it's one of those books that, and yeah, anytime I'm feeling down, I pick this up. Mwah! Well done, Tops. Well done, John Pound, Art Spiegelman, Mark Newgarden, Tom Bunk. Thank you for giving us this amazing treasure of a legacy, of a IP, of a franchise, or whatever this is. The Garbage Pail Kids industry. Everybody, keep it psycho.